Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately.
All set.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our February Albany Port District Commission meeting. My name is Georgette Steffens. I'm the chair of the board, and we'll go around. Introduce ourselves.
I know I'm trying to work through my Novocaine. Joe Coffey, Commissioner.
Dominic Tagliano, Commissioner.
Megan Daly, Economic Development and Procurement for the Port.
Tom McGinnis, IT for the Port.
Annette Gasperry, Port of Albany.
Tony Vassell, Business Development and Marketing Manager.
Patrick Jordan, General Counsel.
Eric Smith, Director of Internal Controls and Enterprise Analysis.
Richard Hendrick, General Manager.
All right, so everyone received a copy of our board minutes from the January 24th meeting. If there are no edits, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes. Second. All in favor? Great. Our item number 2 will actually be tabled for the next meeting, so we'll discuss the board evaluation at our March meeting. And then I'll turn it over to Eric to give us a financial update.
Great, thank you. I don't have much to add to that which was included with the packet. 1 month of the year, there's no significant budget variances. The variances that are displayed on the report really are fall into one of 3 categories. Either it's just a timing issue in the manner in which the budget was spread. So particularly during the first quarter, we usually do a fair amount of cleanup, and if we have to just change of course not changing the budget, the approved budget, but the allocation of that between the months, that's just part of our year-end close, new year beginning process. Variances under the salary line are primarily comprised of variable security hours and reimbursable overtime for our maintenance staff working with stevedores on vessel calls, as well as reimbursable utility charges. Additionally, and this is a component of facilities, change that. I'm looking at something, looking at a different report, but one of the things that we're doing in 18, and we've sort of, as we've brought aboard some additional support with our financial reporting and our accounting function. One of the initiatives I have is really to unclutter this P&L. There's some items that flow through here that are not really budgetable, but they're also not, they don't reflect a net cost or a net revenue for us. These are things where if there's damage to a piece of equipment that are then subsequently billed to FMT, the utility reimbursements both for FMT and for Maritime Ministries, those aren't really operating items. So, during this quarter we're going to pull out those pieces and change the manner in which we record those and really keep them on the balance sheet as just, a due to and due from type of structure. Because we have agreements that provide for the requirements that these expenses are reimbursed. Just briefly on the audit results, field work was completed in a week, and it was pretty fast. I think that's probably the fastest I've seen it conclude here. There were no findings identified to management. I have a copy of the preliminary financials that I'm reviewing, and I'm working on the MD&A, so we'll be able to issue financials next month without a problem.
Any questions?
No, it's like 1 month is what we're trying to make, but again, it's kind of, particularly when we're relatively kind of a small operation, we don't have a lot of cushion. Just again, speak to some form of leading indicator that we could develop. And I know you're working on those, and And I think the one strength, though, even absent some of those, is you've got such a good hands-on, kind of anecdotal sense of what's going on. It doesn't always have to be, you know which way the wind's blowing, I think, at the time, which is good.
Great.
So Rich, do you have any updates that you want to provide?
The warehouse is moving along. We have another concrete pour tomorrow. There was one on Monday. We're hoping to see the final foundation work either the end of next week or the beginning of the following week. We'll start to see the steel, which is all on site, being raised very soon, and then the other contractors, we have a meeting scheduled next week with all 4 primes on that job to again get them up to speed on their scheduling so that we can get the building finished off and put into use. The South Wharf project, we're making some changes possibly as we go with how the concrete pours and everything are going to be going on that. We may have some changes in the actual structure itself that we'll hopefully know about in the next couple of days, but that has a lot to do with the future contract, or at least that we're working on with Cargill Grain and Ardent Mills. So I'll keep you informed probably during the course of next month with emails on that, just so we can keep everybody right up to real time on what we're doing with that. But
Are they net plus or net minus change orders?
The dock work may be a net minus, and depending on how we work it out, a substantial net minus. But we just at 9:30 this morning had a conference call on that, so it's there's a lot of changes that are being proposed, which we hope to have ironed out even possibly by the end of this week. Going out on a limb, it could be an 8 to 10% net change in the overall contract. So we'll hopefully see that it does work out like that. The warehouse, we've had a couple minor changes where we approved last month that one where we brought the fiber optic in. The construction company did that work for us, which saved us money in the long run. We're still working with National Grid on both power and gas coming into that building, but we don't expect any issues with any of that. The company that's doing the electric work at the last contractors meeting had requested some assistance from the port with National Grid, which John is now meeting with National Grid, I believe it's today or tomorrow morning, to wrap up the location of the gas service coming into the building, and then once that's done, that'll move along at a speed which will not delay the HVAC contractor. 700 Smith Boulevard, there's been no change in the last month. We're hoping that we hear something positive on that in early March. Not right now.
Anyone have any questions for Rich?
No.
So my understanding is there's no real property development update at this time?
No, we haven't had anything that's changed in the last month. We're still working on a lot of issues. We'll have one thing for executive session that after that, we may come back out with a change in that.
And so Tony's gonna tell us about how our first month of the year went.
Well, if you would, please refer to the forms in your folder.
That pie chart is actually just a sundial.
So, it's not that blue.
I'm with you.
First page, ships and barges report, top left-hand corner, outbound. We matched last year. Last year we had 3 heavy lift project cargo vessels. This year it's faced 2 heavy lift vessel, barge, and a scrap ship. If you go over to the right, the inbound, and you see that last year we handled 5 heavy lift project vessels and none this year. And last year what was taking place was the Moxie Freedom project in the Wilkes-Barre, PA area, where we had 3 ships and a barge, HRSG units, the heat recovery steam generating, and affiliated equipment, and also 1 last vessel for the Lordstown, Ohio Part 1 project. So if you go down to the year-to-date, last year, January 8, this January 3, down around 63%. And it's the sundial. Page 2, tonnage report monthly. Top left, January last year, heavy lift project cargo outbound. This year we had a scrap vessel with close to 10,000 tons, which put us up around 198%, or 6,800 tons on the outbound tonnage side. You shift over to the right, the inbound, and as I mentioned earlier, there were no inbound vessels this month, or in January this year. And just repeating, it was the last year we handled the Lordstown and the Moxie Freedom projects. We won't go into the year-to-date report because it's basically the same thing. Looking down the road, well, actually should be tomorrow. The jumbo Stella Maria is due in for the Cricket Valley project down in Putnam County. We have been working on that for the last 3 years. I attended 3 public meetings down there, and Jumbo is going to have 3 ships. BBC looks like they'll have 3, so that project is moving along. Then we've been working on the subway cars for Massachusetts for 6 years now, and what's going on with that project is that the production out there in China is behind. And from what I understand, whenever these projects start, like for Kawasaki or Bombardier, they run behind in the beginning, then they catch up because they're going to be running prototypes, maybe 2 to 4, and those will be trucked. Well, they'll come from China on a container ship. 30 days transit time, twice as much is coming when production starts rolling. Beyond 8 or so, we should be getting the inducement call of those units. And the Lordstown second portion of the project was supposed to be taking place, and it's another one of those projects that's been pushed back. So the second half looks a lot better than the first half. Any questions? And the Longshore Hour report, Bill he has a conference call that he's on. And just to take a look at the top left, last month in January 2017, 5,265 longshore hours. And that once again goes back to those vessels that came in for the Moxie Freedom and the Lordstown projects, which produce a lot of terminal work. Now the work that's going on over in Rensselaer for the Cricket Valley, that's going to produce a lot of longshore work, terminal work. So that's basically it.
Any questions for Tony? Other business?
Just update the board that we've received all of the annual conflict of interest declarations, and they're on file should the governance committee wish or need to review those.
So at this time, we have an item for executive session to discuss proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property. And so I would take a motion to so then now we can come out.
Thank you.
Okay, you're all set.
Okay. So we do have one item, and that's allowing the general manager to enter into a contract for professional services agreement with Louis Berger for a fee not to exceed $200,000. And I'll take a motion to
And that's for work associated with,
the 80 acres in Bethlehem.
I'll move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So our next meeting is, it's on Monday, this month, Monday, March 26th, at 12:30. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.